showcasing local talent, professionals, and everyday people making Salt Lake City what it is today. It's time for another episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast.
I want to welcome everybody out today to episode 208 of I Am Salt Lake podcast. My name's Chris Hollifield. I am your host. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for listening. Today's episode, I sit down with Andrea and Jesse from Bitters Lab. We find out their story. I'm going to be getting into that here in just a minute, but there's a lot going on with the podcast, a lot I want to share. I'm joined by Chrissy Shelley.
Hey, everyone.
She's going to kind of help share some of the news and announcements.
Exciting goings-onings.
Yeah, it's been a busy week. Both Chrissy and myself been working on a lot of stuff with the podcast. First thing I want to tell you everybody about is the big announcement of my next live show at the Watchtower Cafe, Saturday, February 27th, 7 p.m. The difference between this live show, though, is this one is absolutely free. And again, it's going to be at a different setting. It's going to be at the Watchtower Cafe. Who's going to be on the show, Chrissy?
We're going to have Shane Smith, comedian and friend. Everybody will love him. Brian Bingham, musician. And Kevin Kirk of the Heavy Metal Shop.
It's going to be, I mean, that is a great lineup. Like I said, the show is free. It is sponsored by Utah Musicians Radio. And this time, Utah Musicians Radio is going to stream it for us live at amr.fm. So for listeners outside of Utah, or possibly might just be too far to drive to, tune in amr.fm Saturday, February 27th. You'll be able to listen to the live show right there online. We're also going to open it up to audience questions as normal. So if you have any questions for any of us, come prepared with those questions. Brian Bingham said he would open the show, or sometime during the show, he's going to play some music. Mm-hmm. Our friends at Oleo, they're going to be selling some of their products at the show as well. So come on out and check that out as well.
Which, if you were smart, you would get on. Yeah. Because that stuff is good.
Yeah, we'll be getting into that here in just a minute.
Right.
Just a minute, Chrissy. But Watchtower Cafe is located at 1588 South State Street. You can find out more about the live show at iamsaltlake.com/watchtower. It's going to send you to the Facebook event page. That way you can find out a little more information about the show. But I want to tell you, Oleo Skin and Beard, sponsor of the podcast. Chrissy and myself are both, we both use all their products.
I'd say we're fans.
Yeah.
Fans.
I mean, we
product.
both use different products.
We do. I could use the beard oil if I wanted to really work on my female goatee.
But the beard oil is actually a nice oil. I've actually put it on Charles after a bath to just kind of help moisturize his skin. But they have the most awesome beard oil. Mm-hmm. What are some of the products you use, Chrissy?
Oh man, the kelp mask. It's a detoxifying mask. It's amazing. The coffee scrub. Fantastic. I use it mostly for my face, but it's a great all over body scrub. And the skin oil. Skin oil is so great. It's all natural ingredients, really, really high quality stuff.
Go to oleoskin.com, enter in the promo code iamsaltlake. It's going to give you 25% off of your entire order. It's going to include free shipping. So, I mean, this is a deal. This is, you got to check this out, everybody. I mean, seriously, if you've ever thought about trying their products, this is the time to do it. Oleoskin.com. Use the promo code iamsaltlake, and it'll give you 25% off of your entire order, your purchase right there from the website. So let's see what else is going on. City Weekly got nominated for best friend of local music.
Yeah,
and
which you kind of are. So.
Hey, I'm a fan of the local music here in Salt Lake City and in Utah in general, but I wasn't even aware that I got nominated for this.
Yeah, your friends were voting for you behind your back.
It was.
What's that about?
But I appreciate a friend of the podcast, Mike Pilot, tagged me on a post on Facebook a few days ago and said, "Hey, everybody, go out and vote for Chris Hollifield." And I didn't even realize that I was up for nomination. So Chrissy was kind enough to make us a banner for iamsaltlake.com.
Yeah, you guys don't even have to remember a difficult address. Just go to iamsaltlake.com. Click on the banner.
Click on the banner up top, and it will send you to a survey. It just takes you a few minutes to vote for some different categories. I'm in the best friend of local music. You'll see Chris Hollifield, I Am Salt Lake podcast right there. It would mean a lot to me if you went out and voted.
Let's get Chris an award, you guys.
Hey, it's really cool. It's cool to be recognized for hard work. And so everybody that goes out and votes, thank you so much. Your support means everything to me. But iamsaltlake.com. Click on that banner up top. But like I said, Andrea and Jesse are on this episode of the podcast. They're in Bitters Lab.
They made you some really awesome nuts with the bitters also.
Yeah,
right?
well, yeah. After the interview I did with them, I came home and I told you, I said, man, they made some delicious nuts with these bitters. And for the longest time, I just thought bitters were for mixed drinks. And I'm not a mixed drink expert.
Yeah, me neither.
Typically, when we drink, Chrissy, we just throw in some, alcohols in the sodas or the juices.
Something with carbonation and something with alcohol, right?
Well, I always thought, that's how you do it at home. If you want the fancy drinks, you have to go out to the bars.
Right.
But with Bitters Lab, and in the conversation I'm going to get into in just a minute, you're going to find out how easy it is to
make something that tastes good?
Yeah, well, make something that tastes good and make something nice at home.
So what you're saying is I have to actually try to make you something decent now.
Yeah, they gave me a bottle of one of their bitters, and I'm going to get online on their website, bitterslab.com.
Print out some of the recipes and hand them to your girlfriend.
That's what you got to do. I expect some fancy drinks from you.
Understandable.
But we're going to get into the conversation. We're going to find out their story. This episode was recorded at the Utah Musicians Radio Studio right here in Salt Lake City, so many thanks to them. Many thanks to John Farmer for his support with all of my podcasts. So with that being said, join me as I sit down with Andrea and Jesse from Bitters Lab and find out their story. Hot toddies is what we're drinking right now. Let's talk what is in them. Because I didn't make them. You just handed me a drink and you said, here, drink this. And yeah. So let's start right with there. What am I drinking in here?
So you have a gin toddy. It's Beehive Barrel Reserve, lemon, local honey, our bitters, and some hot water. Classic toddy.
It is delicious.
Thank you.
And so the bitters which I want to get into here, obviously we'll get into here in a little bit. How many different flavors or?
We have 5 right now.
5 flavors? Mm-hmm. And you said in this toddy, say which flavor was
the aromatic, so that's the bottle that you have right there.
Okay.
That's what we put in this toddy.
Excellent. It is delicious. I highly recommend it. You guys, any bartending experience?
No.
No bartending experience. How did the two of you meet? Do you want to share that story for a second? Just maybe a quick synopsis a little bit?
Sure.
Just to kind of find out. I like to find out a little bit of history kind of the people I'm working and chatting with.
I used to work at the photography department at the community college here.
Okay.
And Andrea was taking a photography class. So that's basically how we met. She was taking a class. You were a teacher, I was a TA. I only taught there for one semester. But when we met, I was just a lab aide there. She was in now the dark room, cruising around the digital lab, and we just started talking and
it's
hanging
all just
out.
Been history since then.
That's the end of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're also a photographer, right, Jesse?
I am, yeah.
Yeah, which I'd love to chat about
Sure.
maybe a little bit further in the conversation here of what you're doing with that. Did you both grow up here in Salt Lake City or Utah? Or what's that history like for you both?
I grew up here in Salt Lake. I've lived here my whole life, but Jesse did not.
I grew up in New Jersey.
New Jersey. Mm-hmm. And then what brought you to Utah?
I moved here to snowboard, pretty much.
Snowboard, the snowboarder's dream of the Utah mountains. And
came here for, it was supposed to be one winter.
And how long ago was that?
18 years ago.
18 years ago. You're gonna probably punch me for this, and I've brought it up on episodes of the podcast, but I've only been snowboarding one time, and I moved to Utah when I was 16, so I was like over 20 years ago. How do you
I meet people like that all the time.
No. I want to chat about this just for a second. Mm-hmm. How can you do it but be cost effective? Is that an easy answer, or is it kind of?
You can always walk.
Yeah, because that's my biggest problem with it. Is it gets very expensive.
Once you have gear, I used to go backcountry 2-3 times a week.
Sure,
that doesn't cost anything. But ever since I moved here, I've pretty much had a season pass somewhere. So.
But I guess, it's a hobby. It's what you do all winter. It keeps you busy, and you're not spending money on other things.
Yeah, you just know what you're doing. When the weekend comes, you just say, I'm going to go ride. And that's it.
It keeps the winters interesting for sure.
Yeah. Now, do you snowboard as well?
Yeah. He actually taught me how. I didn't know how before I met him. So, which is kind of funny because I grew up here. So my family just
never did it.
We just never really went.
Yeah. And that's how it was for me. It is for me. And I was like, oh, well, and then you get older and you don't want to fall and break your bones and die and all of that. But anyway, I want to get right into Bitter Labs. I wasn't really familiar with a whole lot with it. I've seen the product out there. I've seen some of the markets and whatnot. And then I had Derek from Oleo on the podcast, and he brought some in for some drinks we made for the conversation with him. And so it's kind of it's been fun. But how would you describe it? For people listening that aren't from, especially in Utah, bitters aren't people aren't probably that familiar.
It's getting better. For sure. But the best way to describe it is it's a flavoring or an extract for cocktails. You can use it in food, desserts, salad dressings. We brought some nuts for you. So these are 2 different nuts that we made with our 2 different flavors of bitters. So
it's not just for cocktails,
no,
not just for drinks.
Nope. That's what they're meant for, but there's a lot of other uses for it as well.
Yeah. Would you say you have to educate a lot of people on the product?
Yes, that's one of the main reasons we did the farmers market was educational purposes. It wasn't really for sales necessarily, because we had planned on having bars use them and restaurants and getting into specialty shops around town. So the farmers market was really just a presence for us and for educational purposes.
Was it beneficial?
It was very beneficial. Very surprising to both of us. So. It was fantastic.
How old is the concept or the company or when did it start? How old is it?
Technically we got our name and everything going last January, but we didn't officially launch until June when we started the farmers market. We didn't start selling product until June
of 2015.
Yeah, 2015.
So this last farmers market was the very first summer. So was the downtown farmers market Pioneer Park? Have you done other markets or? Yeah,
well, so just with Bitters Lab, we only did the downtown farmers market. Mm-hmm. But the summer of 2014, I actually did a bruleed fruit stand with the bitters that we made, but we weren't actually selling the bitters.
Okay.
So I did that at downtown farmers market and at Wheeler Farm. So that was kind of our way of introducing bitters really to Utah. At the time, I would say probably 80% of the people we met had no idea what we were talking about.
Sure.
They had never heard of bitters. The cocktail scene, I felt like it was kind of coming up a little better.
Would you say that's because it's Utah? Let's be honest here for just a second.
A little, yeah. I think a lot of, it's
It just takes time for
sure. And I'm not trying to obviously, but would you find that something like this might take off quicker in another state?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was wondering.
Yeah, just traveling around, there's way more of a presence in bigger cities. We go back east all the time.
And have you taken the product out east then with you or no? Pretty new, so
yeah,
you haven't really
new.
had a whole lot of opportunity.
Yeah. Every time we travel, we take a bottle with us. But we haven't taken it to bars or anything back east. But
let's talk about, we kind of jumped ahead a little bit, the idea of it. How did that come about? This is Jesse's ball, I guess, here. And
a little bit, yeah.
Basically, I was traveling for work years ago, and I would collect whiskey. That's kind of how it started.
You just go to somewhere and you buy a bottle of whiskey. And
so I just was interested in rye, bourbon.
Sure.
And started getting a pretty big collection. And then it transitioned into getting bitters in other cities and places that I go to. It was just fun for me.
So different cities actually will make bitters, like there's locally.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's like some stuff you just can't get here.
Sure.
Yeah. So, if you're in San Francisco, there's a ridiculous bitter selection there. Upstate New York, when we're in little shops, liquor stores, they have the ability to bring in whatever they want.
Okay.
Where, here it's kind of regulated. Well, actually, liquor stores don't even sell bitters here, but in upstate New York, you would go in and there'd be, different selections. So I just kind of had fun collecting bitters. So as my collection grew, I just got more and more interested in the whole history of it, and then I just started making them. And this was...
So you're just making, you're like in your kitchen, you're just like, I just want to do this.
Well,
you bought some books
basically,
on it? Or...
So I had like a whiskey room downstairs in our house.
A whiskey room? Okay, let's stop. What is the whiskey room?
It's a room with
just whiskey.
A lot of whiskey in it.
A whiskey lover's paradise.
We would go down and just hang out down there. It started off as essentially a gear room for camping, snowboard gear. So I'd go down there and wax boards and
a
just
man room.
Tinker around,
yeah.
Or I would build a bike. And then as my whiskey collection grew, it started taking over my gear room, and now it has become a whiskey room, and the gear room has gone somewhere else.
How many different kinds of whiskey do you think are in there?
Well, I remodeled the room in October, and I counted all the bottles. There were about 130 different bottles of whiskey that he had, and
that was back then.
He's since purchased quite a few more, so I couldn't even tell you how many different bottles are in there.
And that's just bourbon,
there's a lot.
Bourbon and rye. So that room is just
whiskey.
And so you have a gin room?
No, the gin, the vodka, even the Canadian whiskey has made its way upstairs. Mm-hmm. All other liquor is all upstairs.
Sure.
So it's just bourbon and rye.
So you're making these bitters. Mm-hmm. How did you get a book at the library, or I find that interesting.
It was Brad T. Parsons' bitters book. Okay, that's probably what I started reading, and then of course online you can read anything. So it's just reading as much as I possibly could, even on the history and everything, and
the history of bitters.
Yeah, and then. Yeah, I just started tinkering.
What was it that pulled you in? Was there anything, or is just kind of, nothing really significant?
No, there's no aha moment. Like, it was winter. It was a shitty winter.
Sure.
So I had a little extra time on my hands because I couldn't go snowboarding. And I just started tinkering.
The winter, we didn't get a whole lot of snow.
Well, I probably wasn't riding as much years ago.
Yeah, you took a little, not a break, but... He just kind of got interested in other things for a while.
Yeah, I thought, I was getting older and maybe snowboarding would go away. And it turns out it's
come
not
back
going,
in full force.
It's not going anywhere. But still, I enjoyed just going down to the room and experimenting with tinctures and learning about flavor profiles of different ingredients. And then, so once I figured out, I basically made a tincture of every single ingredient that I had in the whiskey room, which... was called the Bitters Lab, and that's how the name of the company
that started as just a joke.
Because I would just walk downstairs and be like, I'm going down to the lab. I had beakers and all types of little things.
The whole setup.
Brewing, yeah.
What was your thought of all this when he was doing that?
I was just, he gets in stages where he gets really interested in certain things, and he just goes with it, and... And
you just let him go. You're just like, this is his thing.
He's making me cocktails, so I can't really complain, right?
Here's another one, honey.
Mm-hmm. Here, try this.
Yeah.
So it was fun.
So at what point were you like, I think we're on to something here. I think I want to maybe see if, or were you giving it to friends at all, or selling it?
We weren't selling it, but...
Yeah,
What were your friends saying about it?
Everyone loved it, but you never know, your friends aren't going to give you...
Some of them are going to be honest.
Yeah, right? You hope they give you honest feedback. Sure. But everyone basically was like, this stuff is amazing. Where can I buy it? When can I buy it? Even our neighbors, friends of friends, we'd give them to our friends, and then people would come over their house and they'd try it, and they would be like, I'll buy every single flavor they have. And we weren't selling them. We were just like, we're not going to operate some underground liquor thing.
Yeah, but I mean, bitters. I mean, you're not under the same regulation, though. I mean, as a liquor, right?
Not necessarily.
It's just bitters. I mean,
yeah, it's basically a non-potable alcohol.
Okay.
So you can't just drink it.
Yeah, because it does say there is alcohol in there, I guess, right? Water, cherries, herbs, spices.
It's just, I mean, identical to a vanilla extract if it was made the old school way or the real way.
So that's just vanilla beans infused in high-proof alcohol.
Okay.
So that's the traditional, the real way of making vanilla extract. That's the same concept with bitters, but you're infusing a bittering agent, or some bitters actually have more than one bittering agent in them, or like a bitter root or bark. Like ours has gentian root. The aromatic has that in it. So it's just, what are there, 25 different ingredients in just that flavor alone. So it's a handful of any kind of flavor combination you can come up with infused in high-proof alcohol.
So you're giving them, I'm getting a little bit of the timeline here for like listeners and even myself. So you're giving them to neighbors and whatnot. When did you actually decide to start putting them in nice looking bottles like you have? I mean, when were you like, wow, we should sell this?
So Andrea was doing bittersweet at the markets at Wheeler Farm in downtown.
Bittersweet, what?
That's
fruit stand.
That's in 2014, the fruit thing that I did.
When she was bruleeing different fruits and things with bitters.
So that was kind of, for me, that was like the aha thing. Like I was kind of looking for something new to do. And I thought, let me just try this thing at the farmer's market and see if it turns into anything. And I really wanted to incorporate the bitters because at that time we were both getting very into it. So that's kind of where that came from. But as far as Bitters Lab turning into an actual business for just bitters alone, I would say that happened after the farmer's market for bittersweet.
The farmer's market of 2015? 14, because 2015 is when you took Bitters Lab.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had a lot of people that would come up and see bitters, or bittersweet was the name, so they would think, oh, you guys are selling bitters, and they would say, hey, can we buy some? And we weren't selling our product then. I'm curious,
do you guys still you run your own production facility and do all your own bottling?
Yep.
And I mean, do you have a separate place for that, or do you just do it at home? I mean, or is that something you don't want to talk about?
Oh no, yeah. So we had to get permits and everything, and we actually just moved into a brand new space that is just ours.
Sure.
It's a commercial kitchen that we're not even fully moved in yet, but so.
And do you have employees, or are you
no?
doing it
It's just us,
or just the two of you doing this? And
yeah, occasionally, my friend will come down and help me.
Yeah.
Do so we peel oranges and any of the citrus like that. It is a very long process and it takes a lot of time. So he'll come down and help me do that and filter and usually bottling. I can't do that by myself, so there always has to be two people to do that.
Yeah,
but.
Talk about the flavors again. I know we kind of mentioned them at the very beginning a little bit, I believe, but let's run down the flavors that you have.
We have an aromatic, which is basically our version of a classic bitters, like an Angostura or a Fee Brothers. So it's used in, back in the day, it was used in old fashions and Manhattans. It's just a very classic taste. I'd just say it's old timey. And then we do a charred cedar and currant. We have a habanero lime, and then we have two seasonal flavors that we do. We did some pretty small batches of those, and then once they're gone, they're gone. So that just allows us to, kind of experiment with seasonal ingredients, and then just keep.
Why wouldn't you want to keep going with them though? If they're popular though, right?
Well, so the seasonal thing, we'll actually reintroduce them, but it's only for that season.
Okay.
So like the two seasonal ones we released in autumn, and both of them are almost gone. So it's just kind of however long they last.
Sure.
And then we'll reintroduce them again in September.
And we also thought, if it would allow us to experiment too, to not just be stuck to, these are our flavors. If there's something that we're experimenting all the time. So if we find something that we're really liking, we'd like to be able to just.
So you might add more.
Yeah.
Obviously, is that kind of the direction?
Yeah.
But I think our three staples are, the aromatic, the habanero lime, and the charred cedar and currant.
Yeah, we'll keep those all the time.
And right now, okay, let's talk about where people can get the product. That's important for people listening. They're like, I want to check this out online, I'm sure, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
we have an online store. You can buy there. And we also sell at Caputo's and Boostique right now.
Okay, yeah, but they're actually both right on 300 South, right downtown there. Yeah, no, I'm familiar with both of those spots. And then the markets, you'll probably be at Farmers Market coming up here the next summer. What about the winter market at all? Do you do the winter markets?
Yes, yeah.
The
So
downtown?
we're actually doing the winter market as well. It's a new thing for us. We haven't ever done a winter market, so that's been really fun.
And then online, Bitters, what's the website?
It's bitterslab.com.
Okay, I just want to make sure I got it right. And again, I'll put those links at iamsaltlake.com. You just kind of wanted to get into that before we got to, all the way to the very end of the podcast. But what was the hardest thing for you? Would you say there was something that sticks out that was like, it was a really hard obstacle with starting your own business?
Starting your own business, everything about it is hard.
Sure. Well, no, I mean, because I'm curious, like even for, say, somebody listening that might be curious to want to start their own. What is something maybe they can learn from you?
Time.
Time
is the
Having
most
time to
valuable
do it.
thing.
Yeah.
At least for me. I mean, I own my own business as well, so I'm working.
Which is
all the time.
Is that photography?
Which is photography.
Okay, yeah.
And then Andrea works full time as well. And then starting Bitters Lab just took the rest of our spare time. So we haven't really done much camping or biking or
you have to
things
give
that
up
we
some
do.
of the luxuries.
Pretty much, yeah. So we were, working 7 days a week for a long time.
Yeah. I think that was hard, getting used to that and not being able to have a release of, doing something fun and exciting, even just for
So what kept you going
weekend.
then? What kept you going?
Bitters.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I know that because
it's really fun for us to do.
And that's why I was curious. Like, I mean, you've obviously found something that you really thoroughly enjoy, and kind of I was talking about even this podcast. I mean, I took a little break from it for a little while, just because it gets overwhelming. Day after day, week after week. There's so many aspects that I'm doing for it, and as I'm sure with Bitters Lab, I mean, you have your. You probably do all your own websites and marketing and labels and design, and there's so much more involved. And I didn't know if there was something more that kept you driven.
Just experimenting with all the different flavor combinations. That's probably the most exciting thing for me. That's what I enjoy doing the most.
You got a lot of drinking in, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
Trying out the bitters, right?
Yeah,
You got to try them out.
That can't be bad, right?
No. Well, that would keep me going.
Well, I think Andrea has like a ton of passion towards bitters, and just doing the market. We meet great people all the time. Everyone at the market, the whole community has been amazing. So
that's been the funnest part.
Yeah, like
the downtown, the vendors have been
just the support that everyone's provided.
Yeah, the people that stop by that are just so interested in what we're doing and excited, and I can't believe something like this exists here. That has been just really,
and even everyone that has been through it when we were new, just willing to
help us.
Give you help,
we had a lot of
advice or
a lot of people support us. Just.
What do you know now that you wished you would have known at the very beginning? Is there like one tidbit or piece of advice? I don't know if there's anything.
I wish I knew I wouldn't go camping for 2 years.
Well, no, that's something like that.
So we did research about how much everything was going to cost, bottles and labels and all this stuff. And we ended up going a little bit of a different route as far as our labels are concerned than we had originally planned. And just the cost associated with that was,
because we're small,
it wasn't.
We're a small business. If we were doing huge runs of buying pallets of bottles and things like that, of course we would keep our costs down. But right now we're small.
And everything we buy is.
Do you want to keep it that way though?
Fairly small, yes, but we would like to grow a little bit more. But
would you like this to be your full-time gig?
That's the plan.
That's the goal.
For me.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not?
Jesse loves photography. He will never stop doing that. That will never go away for him. But for me, I'm definitely ready for something new. So,
the goal is
this will be
Andrea's full-time job, and we're working on it.
Yeah, no, I mean, and you're doing heck of a job. Do any of the local bars use any of the stuff? I mean,
yeah. So we had actually approached a handful of bars ourselves. I was kind of going on, lunch breaks at work and after work, like after hours, and talking to bartenders and that sort of thing. Bar X was actually the first bar to pick up our stuff. I know.
That's like my favorite. Well, they got the best cocktails.
They're fantastic, and everybody there is just, they're so friendly and super nice. And then I know Copper Common started carrying our stuff. It's kind of funny. Once we started selling our bitters in Caputo's, we had heard that bartenders were actually, they would just go there and buy it retail and just start using it when, I don't think a lot of people realized they could get it wholesale from us. So we actually signed with a distributor in August. We signed with A Priori. So they've kind of taken over that role.
The role of like contacting the bars and
restaurants and other
specialty shops.
Other specialty shops outside of Utah, just trying to get us into as many outlets as possible. So that's been good because then I can kind of focus more on being creative. Uh-huh. I really enjoyed that, going to bars and restaurants and meeting people and kind of having that connection and actually talking about our product. But being creative and creating new flavors is really
the time
important.
Involved in that. We just didn't have time available to be hitting the pavement.
You've mentioned photography a couple times, Jesse. I want to just touch a little bit because I'm kind of a secret closet photographer.
Yeah.
No, I'm no good. I enjoy photography. So, did you go to school for that, or is that just kind of self-taught? Or
I went to school for fine art in New Jersey, and then I took every photography class I could.
Possible.
I was just way into it. I pretty much worked in photography for 17, 18 years.
Wow. Is there like a subject you like more than others to take? I mean, are you landscape, nature, city?
No, I mean, I work in
wedding. Okay.
I don't do weddings. I don't do portraits. Yeah. I work in advertising,
which is perfect for what you got, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I've always known I've always loved advertising for some reason, and that's what I've always wanted to work in, and I just kept at it until it was my full-time job. So
and you want to do that forever, right? I mean, that's
as long as my finger still works
and your eyes work.
Yeah.
No, I was just curious because like I said, you mentioned a couple times in the conversation. What about other hobbies and interests besides bitters and drinking, or does that kind of consume most of your time? Is any
lately kind of it does, but snowboarding, like we mentioned, and we're both really big into mountain biking. That's actually probably hands down my favorite thing to do.
Is there a favorite area in Utah you like to mountain bike in, or is it kind of wherever and anywhere?
Yeah, kind of anywhere. We'll kind of do anything. We have downhill bikes and we have cross-country bikes. So,
we've ridden at Deer Valley, canyons, like their park stuff, and then we do trails all over Utah. We used to ride
Southern Utah's good times.
In Oregon, Whistler. We used to bike a lot.
Like that was all
before you started.
Yeah.
Before you started making
mountain biking consumed our lives, I would say. We would work and then mountain bike after work until it got dark.
Yeah, we would
and then all weekend long. We would actually plan camping trips around mountain biking.
So that's right. You said you were a big camper as well, all over.
Yeah, being outside is basically what we enjoy.
Sure.
And usually that's on a snowboard or on a mountain bike. Or, I ride motorcycles as well. So I'm into like dual sport. So we've done some motorcycle trips back in the day. Haven't done them.
That's been a while.
In a while.
Here's a question I ask people, and this is kind of, I was saying like favorite areas to go camping or mountain biking. But I ask this most episodes at least. If somebody was visiting Salt Lake or the surrounding areas, is there something you would tell them to check out or tell them to go visit?
Uintas.
Yeah. We go to the Uintas all the time.
Mirror Lake Highway, that area.
Yeah. We would hike in. We'd either go backpacking, or even if it's car camping or you're camping fairly close to a road, just being outside up there is amazing. And we have a dog too. So, the Uintas is a great place for dogs where, he's not allowed in national parks and stuff. So we'll usually go to the Uintas. Escalante is a fun spot of ours.
Mm-hmm. That's where we got married, actually, Escalante.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Like right out there in nature or?
On the top of, it sounds silly, on the top of a mountain.
For real?
For reals.
Okay, well, let's talk. No, that's interesting.
Yeah, so.
I mean, what made you decide to get married there?
It was just a spot that we've been to many, many times. It's gorgeous. We love it. It's in Boulder, Utah.
Okay.
So it's just, technically it's just outside of Escalante, but it's that same general area. It's where he proposed.
Yeah.
So we got married there.
Look at that.
Made our grandparents walk up a steep red rock hill.
Like how steep? Pretty steep. It wasn't anything.
They needed assistance.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
And hiking shoes.
Nobody had any nice shoes on.
No heels were allowed.
No.
I like those kind of weddings, though. It makes people really want to go to it versus just your typical backyard wedding.
No, that's what we wanted. We wanted it to be something that was fun for everyone. We hiked
the morning of,
the day after. I don't know. It was just fun.
There were 20 people there, including us. So It was very, very small.
What about favorite local eating spots? I ask this every episode too, just because it's nice to throw names and recommendations out there. If there's any places that you enjoy.
I always get stumped when people ask me because I have all these places that I love.
Yeah.
But as soon as someone asks me, I'm like,
Where? Yeah. No.
Where?
Yeah. If you want to think about it for a second, it's fine too. I can.
Yeah. There's a lot of new, amazing restaurants here.
Yeah.
But we work so much, we don't go out very often.
Fair enough.
I love coffee, so I actually go to 3 Cups kind of religiously.
Yeah.
Well, that's over there in Holiday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of live, not in Holiday, but we live fairly
that general
close.
Vicinity.
Yeah.
Sure.
So Copper Kitchen is actually really good too. We just went there for Jesse's birthday, and it was fantastic. It was really good.
And Provisions, High West. We also like dives.
Mm-hmm.
Chubasco in Park City is like our go-to Mexican joint.
Luna Blanca's good. That's in Cottonwood Heights. It's not a dive, but it's a fairly new Mexican. We love Mexican food.
Hey, nothing wrong. I love some good. I love some good Albertos. Good,
there you go.
if I have a chance, that's pretty Mexican for me. But what would you say? Do you have like a memorable concert or sporting event? Complete random question, just to even curious for yourself.
Oh yeah, Built to Spill, hands down. Every time they come into town.
Did you go see them when they played Ogden?
Yes.
The Ogden. When they tried to do their own Twilight type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was a good show.
Oh, it was fantastic. Built to Spill is hands down my favorite band.
Well, it's a good band.
Ever.
We've probably seen them. 15 times.
Every single time they come here, we have seen
Urban
them.
Lounge, and I guess that's kind
lately that hasn't been super great.
Yeah,
the sound there has. I don't know.
You think so?
Anyways, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's another tangent, I guess. But
love Urban Lounge.
No, Urban Lounge is a great venue for live music. But interesting, Built to Spill. It's always fun to learn. What's a random skill that you wish that you would like to learn? Is there something, I've chatted with people, that learn a language, or I had a comedian that wanted to learn to be a ventriloquist or something, you know what I mean? If there's something like that, you're like, that'd be fun to learn.
There's random things that hit me all the time, and then I just jump on it. Can't really say. Like, it'd be great to learn another language, but I'm playing with a Rubik's Cube right now. I was like...
So you would like to... Okay, you're trying to learn the Rubik's Cube?
Yeah, I was like, why not?
And there you go. There's your answer.
Then,
I took Japanese in high school. I would love to relearn how to actually speak and understand.
So, but you knew at one time how to speak?
I did, yeah.
Wow.
Not fluently at all, but
that's impressive.
I could understand a little bit. I could read a little, and I could speak a little, but it's something you don't use it and you completely lose it. I couldn't even.
Yeah. If the world was ending this year, how would you live the rest of this year? What would you do?
I'd live it outside.
Yeah.
In the mountains.
And I that's...
You probably saw that one coming.
Yeah, I saw that coming based off of our conversation. What about you, Jesse?
Same thing.
Same thing.
Yeah. That's when we feel alive, is whenever we're outside doing stuff. So
Is there anything you would change about Salt Lake? Anything you'd like to see different?
I don't know. A lot of people can bash on Salt Lake.
Yeah.
And I'm not from here, but I'm officially probably a Utard now. But
you've been here a while.
Yeah. But I don't know. Salt Lake's a great place. That like the mountains are right there. You can't beat that. And if I were to change something, I don't know what that would be.
That's
probably the air quality, but that's a whole different topic. I think,
But I mean, it's still an answer. I mean, obviously we'd all like to see the air quality.
Yeah, I mean, you can complain about this place as much as you want, and then you go somewhere else, and immediately you're like, I can't wait to go home. And
That's totally
no traffic. Takes 15 minutes to go anywhere. Where I grew up, it takes all day to
just go
anything.
Grocery shopping.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many people.
Sure. Let's go back to Bitters Labs really quickly. Recipes. Is there any and I want to try some of these nuts here in just a second, actually, too. But for people that buy the product. So recipes on your website?
Yep. So we actually post recipes. We have a handful of the aromatic cedar and habanero. We have cocktail recipes and a couple food recipes on our website for those 3. And then we mostly post on Instagram recipes because it's just easier.
Okay. So people should connect with you on Instagram.
Definitely, yeah.
And if, bartenders make something amazing, we'll repost that or we post stuff on there all the time.
What about Facebook and stuff? Are you on there?
We are on Facebook, but I feel like Instagram is
Instagram
is the way to go.
It's a very visual.
Yeah,
thing.
visual, and with the hashtags, I just think it's so much easier to find people and connect with people than it is through Facebook. So we do have a Facebook, and we post all the same stuff on Facebook that we do on Instagram, usually, and we also have a Twitter.
Let's try these nuts here. Is that cool? Can I try?
Go for it.
Of course.
Here on the recording, just hopefully I don't want to get too chompy, too for the recording. But I want to. So tell me about these almonds here.
So those are smoke and spice almonds, and it's Spanish paprika, Spanish rosemary, and then our charred cedar bitters. And then the other flavor we brought is an aromatic. They're a sweeter variety, so those ones are spicy. The other one are aromatic walnuts, basically. So aromatic bitters, honey, brown sugar. They're sweeter.
Wow, this is delicious.
Thank you.
Yeah, these are. How hard is something like this to make?
It takes less than 15 minutes, probably. I mean, they have to bake in the oven for 30, but to actually put the whole thing together, it's so easy. Anybody could do it. My friend Andrew, who sometimes helps me, he actually owns Bubble and Brown Bakery. So he came up with that recipe. So technically we can't take credit for that. That's his recipe, but.
And then the walnuts are, say that again.
So it's the aromatic bitters.
For both of them?
No, the charred cedar is in the almonds.
Almonds.
Mm-hmm. And there's actually a recipe for that on our website right now for the almond one and on our Instagram. And then the walnuts it's a sweeter one, so it's honey, brown sugar, aromatic bitters, and some cinnamon, a little nutmeg.
They are both delicious.
Thank you.
I need to make some of that. Hopefully, I apologize. I'm not trying to chew really hard here in the microphone. But anything else you want to mention before, that maybe we didn't touch on with bitters, or because this was a learning process even for me to chat with you, and because I don't know a lot about bitters, I go to, Bar X or a bar, or I might make a, little concoction at home, but I don't probably make a cocktail properly, and it's kind of whatever I have in the fridge, but
as long as it tastes good.
Yeah, no, but,
I think a lot of people are afraid to use bitters, or some people will come up and.
Why do you think they're afraid to use it?
I think it sounds too complicated, or.
Too sophisticated.
There are people
We've
that
actually
come
had
up,
people say that it's too sophisticated for me, and I completely disagree.
Yeah,
it's
like
not too sophisticated.
The most basic cocktail, like an old fashioned. Anyone can make an old fashioned properly.
Yeah, so. I guess I could see the sophisticated part, but I guess really when you think about it, you just put put some in.
You just need a few dashes. And
I think people are they were so used to watered down
sugary.
Rum and Coke, like masking alcohol instead of enhancing your alcohol. Maybe that's fearful to some people, like, because alcohol maybe tastes gross to some people, or when you're buying some rot gut stuff, or if you had bad experiences when you're young and you're like, oh, I have a bad experience with tequila. So you want to like completely mask the flavor of it, where
just find something you like instead of masking.
Yeah. Like bitters just bring out like all the good qualities of different spirits. So
yeah.
I don't know. I think it's exciting.
Yeah.
We do have people that are ridiculously excited too, that come up and they're just like, I'm going home tonight and making a cocktail, or we'll give them a recipe. And so that's
then
you'll
been
see
really
them
fun the next week, right, at Farmer's Market.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll tell you all about it.
Yep.
And
Yep.
all of a sudden you have a new best friend.
They'll tag us on Instagram and we usually repost it. We love seeing that, people getting excited about our product, and
yeah,
we're happy to share that. So,
and then again, you can get it Caputo's Market, Boostique,
online, bitterslab.com.
Bitterslab.com. You're on are you on Twitter? No?
Yes.
Yeah, so you're probably Bitters Lab on all of them.
Yes.
Right? Yep. And again, I'll put those links on the iamsaltlake.com website. I've enjoyed chatting with the both of you, finding out your story. Thank you again for the hot toddy and for allowing me to find out a little bit about Bitters Lab and for reaching out. I mean, I love it when local businesses reach out to me. And so I'm take that as a hint. If you're listening right now and you're in a local business, reach out to me. Let me know you're even out there and that you would like to come on the podcast. One last question. What do you want written on your tombstone?
I have no idea. First of all, I want to be cremated and sprinkled on the land. I am not being buried in the ground.
Okay. Well, there you so
for starters. But I guess if I have to have a tombstone, I'm going to have to think about that one. That's
She lived a good life.
I guess.
That works?
Yeah.
What about you, Jesse?
Died happy? I don't know. Yeah.
Snowboard forever.
Yep.
No.
Yeah, I just want to know I had a good life and did all the things I wanted to do.
Experienced everything you wanted to experience, and died happy.
Many thanks goes out to Andrea and Jesse for joining me on this episode of the podcast. You can go to iamsaltlake.com/208. It's for episode 208 to connect with them. Their website, their social media links are going to be right there online. Let them know that you heard them on I Am Salt Lake podcast. Let them know what your thoughts are. I'm excited to try more of the bitters.
Tell us what your favorite drink is.
My favorite drink?
Yeah.
Well, I love a Moscow Mule.
Moscow Mule.
That if you can replicate that for me, Chrissy,
all right, I'm on it.
I am not going to. I'll stick around.
You'll stay with me if I can do good Moscow Mule. Game on.
Hey, I like I'm sure you like a good challenge, but
I love a good challenge.
Like I mentioned, Oleo Skin and Beard is the sponsor for this episode of the podcast. So go to their website, oleoskin.com. Use the promo code IamSaltLake. It's going to give you 25% off of your entire purchase. It includes free shipping. So if you've ever wanted to try any of the beard oils or skin oils.
Ladies, if you've been looking for like really good face scrubs and facial products, seriously, go try it out.
The next live show, February 27th at Watchtower Cafe. Show starts at 7 o'clock.
Plenty of caffeine.
Plenty of caffeine, but seating is limited.
Mm-hmm. So bring your brass knuckles.
Well, we don't want anyone to have to spend the night in jail. That's not
possible.
Well, if you need to do it, do it. I mean, it's
a free bed.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Anyway. So, February 27th. Also, next week is I'm going to be putting up the live show, the last live show I did at 50 West. So I know I've gotten a few emails from listeners that have requested, when are you going to put that live show up? That's going to be up next week. Anything else? Oh, Chrissy's been doing a lot of stuff with the podcast, though. I want to tell her thank you for her hard work. She did the recent poster for this last live show, or the upcoming live show at Watchtower. She's designing a lot of merch.
We're going to get some real merch going on, you guys. In a little bit, you'll be able to visit iamsaltlake.com and buy some stuff.
Yeah, well, it's taken me 4 years to do it. So
about time.
Well, it's just kind of one of those things. It's hard to do all this by myself. I do every aspect of this podcast alone. So it's been nice to have a little bit of help from you and a little bit of bit of help. So I appreciate that, Chrissy.
I'm here to help.
Where can people find you? I know you do a podcast as well.
I do a podcast. You guys can, people, if they're interested, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter. Chrissy Tweets is my Twitter account, my personal one. At The Totally Real is our Twitter account for the Totally Real podcast that is real. We're mostly active on Facebook, so just look us up. The Totally Real podcast that is real. It's
a good time. It's a little bit different than I Am Salt Lake, but
super different.
Anyway, but also if you're a local business or if you have something that if you're doing here in Salt Lake and you want to sponsor any of the I Am Salt Lake podcast episodes or sponsor any of the live shows, feel free to reach out. Let me know what you got. My email is chris@iamsaltlake.com. I'd love to know your thoughts on sponsoring any of the events or the podcast episodes. So I think that's going to do it for this episode, Chrissy. I thank you so much. Thank you so much for sitting down and chatting and
any excuse to stare at you is a good one.
you heard it there. You heard it from her. So iamsaltlake.com is the website. I got a brand new episode each and every week. Make sure you subscribe well, you don't miss a single episode as I slowly introduce you to people here in Salt Lake and find out their stories. So with that being said, get out, enjoy the city, have a great week, and we'll catch you again next Sunday. Bye now.